who are new here, to take some notes, to, s- to take some notes where I'm really going to go over how your lifestyle is, right? So based on that lifestyle, you'll be able to make a trading plan that will suit your availability to look at the charts, right? So the number one thing is, which you really need to understand about yourself is that like what's your personality, right? What really makes your emotions move? Like, are you a competitive person? Are you very laid back? Are you risk averse? Do you like to take risks, right? Like, what's your personality like? I believe that people who are highly competitive, people who have been doing something very competitive over a long period of time, are the people who are really focused on things they do. They really are profitable in Forex. But on the same spectrum, if you have somebody like, okay, so I have a few guys in the groups, very accomplished people, right? Very accomplished. Like there's one master's, like this guy has a master's in computer sciences. I have a PhD major as well. And they apparently they took a lot of time to be profitable in Forex. Why? Because when you have that tendency to overthink and overanalyze, that that just creates self-doubt, right? Because when you're looking at something which will either go up or down, right, you start focusing on both outcomes. When you start focusing on both outcomes, that hinders your ability to make a decision, right? And that's what they call analysis paralysis, right? So you really need to know what your personality is like, right? Are you a patient person, or are you impatient, right? Do you like to take risks? Do you have drive, right? Or like, how do you want to trade? Do you want to take up trading as a hobby, or do you want to take up trading as a full-time gig? I'll tell you this right now. If any one of you who is thinking of taking up trading as a full-time gig by leaving a job, that's the worst decision you can make. I'm telling this right now. Because what happens is, like, when you say, okay, you know what, I'm winning on my demo account, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to live. I'm going to quit my job. I've saved up like 20,000, 15,000, or whatever the case may be, right? And you switch into trading as full time. Guess what happens? Now you have all this. Now you have all this pressure, all these responsibilities, right? You have to feed your family. You have to make sure you're making money every day. But what happens when you lose money that day, right? You think of it as, oh, you know what? We made no money today. So that's why it's very important that you need to treat trading as a hobby, right? You need to figure out what time will you have from your day that you can really put forward to trading, right? Now, let's say if you work at nights, right? You work at nights in North America. So if you're working at nights in North America, then maybe you only have time to trade pre-New York, right? Or you have time to trade the Asian Open, which is evening for North America, right? So you really need to make sure, do you really have time to trade? For example, what I really recommend people is to start trading as a hobby, right? When you start trading as a hobby, you don't have any emotions involved, because you know what, it's a hobby, and if this hobby works out for me, this can maybe supplement my primary income, right? So I really want you guys to write this down. Like, if you are supplementing your life with a job or with a business, continue to do that. Treat trading as a hobby. It's not an avenue to make you lots of, well, it's an avenue to make you lots of money, but it comes after the fact. Like, after you realize, hey, you know what, this hobby of mine is now bringing in $100 a week, or it's bringing in $200 a week, $300 a week. So maybe I can pay some bills off of this and whatnot. So there's something going over here in the chat. Okay, we'll let those guys do whatever they're doing. All right. So the next thing is, once you realize, okay, you know what, my personality is patient or impatient or whatever the case may be, but you really need to mold your personality. You need to make some changes in your personality. That's what happened with me. Like, my personality was very driven. I was a very impatient person, right? Because everything I've done in my life, I've done it as like, okay, you know what? Let's get it done. Let's jump into it, and we'll think about the consequences later on. And early when I started, it really affected my trading, right? So over time, I really had to mold my personality. I had to literally change the dynamics of the way I looked at things and the way I perceived things. So that's something which you need to do. You need to really change the way you look at life and charts, because I think all that goes hand in hand, right? Next, you pick a time that is most suitable for you to trade, right? That you know, okay, you know what? This is time when I can really focus on charts, right? That's why they say that you need to treat trading as a part-time job, because guess what happens? Most entrepreneurs, most successful people, they have jobs, full-time jobs, and then they have these hobbies. And slowly those hobbies start to grow bigger and bigger, and they start supplementing. It's like what these MLM companies say, right? What do they say? They say, start this venture or start this new business and tell your 3 friends about it, and then slowly grow it, right? And once they say, okay, now it's big enough, you can replace it with your primary income. Right? You can replace it, but it takes time. It will take time, right? So that's the thing. Like, you just need to be willing to put in the time and just wait for these signs to come forward. You can say, okay, you know what? Now we can maybe switch our primary income with trading. So next is, why do you want to trade, right? That's when people come to me, I always ask them, like, why do you think you need to trade? Like, what's the reason? Most people say that, yeah, you know what, we want to make a lot of money. That's true. Like, that's why people trade, right? Or they say things like, oh, like, you know what, this is going to give me independence of time, or it's going to give me independence of like, let's say, your financial independence. Quite honestly, most people, what they say is that like, you know what, I'm a single parent, or or me and my spouse work, and we don't have time for our kids or my family, right? So if I trade, this will maybe give me time to spend more time with my family, right? So you really need to understand why you are coming into trading, right? When people say that, like, you know what, this is going to give me independence of time, perfect, that's fine and dandy. But when we really start trading, what happens is that we're constantly looking at charts, right? We're constantly opening up our MT4 and looking at charts to trade. Why? Right? If you're coming into trading saying that, hey, you know what, this is gonna give me more time with my family, but there's no time when you're looking at charts all the time, man. Like, where's that independence of time? Like, I know guys who say that, oh, like, you know what, my wife hates it when I'm always looking at charts. Why? You know, why? Because if you have a trading plan, and if you know that my trading time is from 6 to 9, there's no reason to look at charts anymore, man. Like, there's no reason at all, right? When your trading time is done, the rest of the time you should be using to focus on your kids, or groceries, or family time, or fun time, or business, or whatever you do, right? But there has to be a balance, because everything goes hand in hand. If there's no balance, then you won't be able to trade, right? Because guess what happens, right? You start trading in the morning, you see some things, you make profit and whatnot, perfect, right? Then in the afternoon, fucking Joe in the group says, oh, hey, I'm in a shorts on something else, right? So you know it's not your time to trade, but you open up your phone because it's so convenient. It's right there. It's an app, right? You open up your charts and you start looking at the trade, and you're like, okay, you know what? This looks like a good short. You take the short, you instantly regret that trade, and you lose it. What happens? You lose all your confidence, right? And then you realize, oh, I maybe shouldn't have taken this trade, right? So why are you really trading, right? It will just take time. It's just the same thing as, why do you want a good body? To feel healthy, right? To do the things you want to do when you're in your 40s and 50s, you're healthy, right? So you really need to understand that, why are you really looking to trade? Next is choosing a currency pair. right? We have some questions over here, probably. All right, so yeah, so there are no questions over here yet. Okay, perfect. So choosing a currency pair, right? This is one of the most important things of trading. Someone can, like, if you're a new trader and if you're looking to, like, be very risk averse, be very cautious, I would recommend to choose something which is less volatile, something like USD I would say USD is a great pair. USD CAD is also a great pair. There's less volatility, which means that it's gonna move less, but it moves clean, right? Now, every few months, there's always a shift in our groups. Every few months, I say for a good 4 or 5 months, everyone started to trade gold because there were some people who were trading gold, and everyone saw that and they were like, okay, you know what, we will try to trade gold. And then after a few months, everyone jumped on USD because everyone was trying to trade USD. And in the last few months, everyone started to trade GBP and we used to do a lot of webinars. So everyone said, hey, let's trade GBP now, But what happens is that GBP it has a lot of volatility, right? So when you're a new trader and you're opening positions in something which is wild, just like Trump, you're overwhelmed because it's moving up and down so fast. You're confused. You don't know if it's going to go up or down, right? So choosing a currency pair, I'm going to go into a lot of detail in this in the coming slides, and it's really going to help you, like which pair would suit your needs, or which pair is going to suit the time you want to trade. Okay, so next we're going to look at risk planning. Risk planning, I'm going to go in a lot of detail. Recently, I learned a new term called it's called dynamic risk, right? So there's static risk and there's dynamic risk. So we're going to go over risk a lot because I think having a good risk plan is going to keep you in the game for a long amount of time. Like consider yourself fighting a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua or Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, right? So if you're a new boxer, you're going into the ring, you know that you will want to stay out of the ring maybe after you land one punch, right? So that's your risk plan, right? You're not going to stay in the ring until you get the shit beaten out of you. No, that's the bad risk plan. Your risk plan is to land 1 or 2 punches, or maybe try to land 1 or 2 punches and stay away till you see your next opportunity. That's how I see risk planning when it comes to trading. Let's look at the chat over here. All right, nothing important going on over there. So next, we're going to look at some technical planning, like how you look at charts, what you should be looking at charts, and how you should be planning your trades. It goes hand in hand with waiting, with the way you're perceiving things that are moving, right? And last but not least, taking action. How many of you guys have been stuck in a dilemma? Like, let's say you're looking at the charts. You're looking at the charts, prices at, let's say, daily support or a weekly support, and you know everything says we're going up. How many of you have had hesitation? How many of you had just not taken the trade and seen the price move the way you wanted it to move? A lot of you guys. That's called hesitation. Like, why do we hesitate, right? Why do we hesitate from taking that trade, which we know has a good winning percentage? Well, not Uncle Ted. Yeah, Uncle Ted is an alien. We're not talking about not talking about Uncle Ted. But the reason why that really happens is, like, let's say you know in your mind that, okay, from the higher zones, price is going to bounce, but the only thing that is stopping you from taking that trade is maybe those stupid losses you've had earlier on, right? You've taken some bad trades, not on your plan, you've lost a bunch of trades, and that has caused you not to take your setup, right? Not to take the setup which you know is profitable. That is the reason why which you don't take action. You hesitate. because you're just waiting and waiting, and all the losses you've had, those losses have destroyed your ego. They have destroyed your confidence completely, right? So that's why you don't take action. And we're going to go over how to, like, train yourself, how to have this shift of this mindset shift, right? Where you can actually like force yourself to take action, right? So I think that's going to be a new thing that I've really learned, and I'm going to pass it on to you guys. All right, let's go forward over here and let's see what we have the next topic. So what we're going to focus on now is like, who are you personally, right? Now, number one thing, like we talked about, was that are you a competitive person? How would you be looking at the market, or who are you responsible for? Because I think this is really important. Like, you should really know, why are you trading, or the funds, if you have some funds at risk, are you going to need those funds later on? Because I know a bunch of guys who come into trading full force, they deposit everything they have and they lose half of it, and then like they're caught in a dilemma, like, okay, now what are we going to do? Because they didn't really think the process out through. What's your daily routine, right? What are you daily focusing on? What's your routine like? Are you busy, right? Do you have a family? I know a bunch of people here, you have families, you have kids, right? So you really need to make a plan. You need to see, okay, what time is going to work best for you, right? When you're trading, you should be trading stress-free. There should be no stress in it, right? That's why I always focus on, like, okay, me, I have a wife. I take care of my parents. I have a son. He's 6 months old. So I know, for me to trade stress-free is going to be between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., which we do every day on live webinars, right? So that's the time for me to trade and to focus on my winning trades. That's it. And if I'm free in the evening time, I may take a trade in the evening time. So that's my plan, right? Some people here, they are free during London Open, right? Or during London time. So they have focused their trading plan during that time frame. So they only focus on that time frame. Because, like, guess what happens? When you're focusing on that time frame, you start to see repetition and things that happen every day. And when you start to see that, then you tell yourself, hey, like, you know what? I've seen this happen every day. So I'm going to jump on this time, or I'm going to grab it, right? So that's how you build confidence, and that's how you really manage your trading time in your daily lifestyle. Okay, and this line over here, how to protect myself from myself, is the most important thing which you're going to experience in trading. Like, let's say you wake up, you take a trade, and you have a profitable trade, right? Now, how many of you, okay, so now to start off, I really want to say this. Everyone here in this webinar, everyone here, I believe everyone over here in the webinar, you can have a profitable trade every fucking day. Every day, you can open up charts and you can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this trade and this is going to be a profitable trade. I swear to God, 80% of the people here in this webinar, you have had a profitable trade, maybe the first or the second trade of the day. It has always been a profitable trade for everybody here. Even if that was on demo, if that was on like a 1 cent lot, or if you followed your risk plan and you took the trade, but you have had a profitable trade in the first 2 trades of the day, right? What happens after that? Once you have the profitable trade, after, like, let's say 30 minutes or 15 minutes, you see a magical, oh, look, there's a wick fill, right? So you take a wick fill and you lose all your profits. This happened to you. This happened to 80% of the people here, right? And why does it happen? Because you don't have rules to protect yourself from yourself. That's the only reason that happens, right? You are your worst enemy when you're looking at the charts, right? Like, when you're, like, this has happened to me too, right? Like, I remember this one day, I traded the news. This was like when I first started. Can you list the parent or well? Yes, we will do that later on here in the slide. I traded NFP. I think I made 50%. This was like a year and a half ago. I made like 3,500, and the next trade I lost 4,000. Right? What was that? What was that? I didn't protect myself from myself. Right? So you need to have rules for that. Even if you're winning, you need to realize that if you're winning on demo, if you took that one trade on demo, that was the move that you were taking. Right? That was the move you were waiting for all day, but you took it on demo. Or you took it on your 1 cent lot. Or you said, oh, hey, you know what? This is on my small account. Right? So that's why you need to really understand, okay, if this is the move you're looking for, you're taking it. And once that move's done, that was your trade for the day. Even if that was on demo, or once that was your trade from the day. Anything you do after that, you're putting on risk, right? You're like every other trade you're going to take, you're going to risk money. You're going to risk losing money in that next trade. So you need to be very, very careful, right? That's why you need to protect yourself from yourself. That's very important. This is why when you have these criminals who are mentally handicapped, they put these jackets on those guys, right? Because they know they need to protect those people from those people. So when I see traders come in and they keep losing after winning trades, I just want to feel like I could put one of those straight jackets on you guys, right? Because I mean, you need to keep your hands okay. Like you're winning a trade, man. If you won a trade, if you called one direction correctly, that's it, right? You just need to do that once a day. If you can call a correct direction once a day, that is it, right? There's no reason for you to like continue on and being a hey. It's not gonna work like that, right? So it's very important. You need to really protect yourself from yourself. These are the rules which we're going to go over throughout the slides, and I'm going to keep highlighting all this stuff. I hope you guys are making notes, right? Because these notes are very important. Because after you guys leave from here, even though we're going to have recording, half of you who don't have notes, you're going to forget 90% of it in the next 2-3 days, right? So very important to make notes. Okay. What needs to be done to make this work? You really need to ask yourself this. Now, I work with Alex, Wakar, Alex Hill, Uncle Ted. I work with a lot of good traders every day. And the one distinction I've seen is that patience is the only thing that's going to make it work. If you are patient, if you're patient for those entries, like think about it. Right? If you know that, okay, like, you know what, I'm only going to sell 4-hour resistance, or I'm going to trade, let's say, the breakouts, right? So let me just do some annotations here. If you know that, okay, you have a good, like, daily support, price came down, right? And then you have a 1-hour resistance, price came down, it broke resistance, came down for a retest. Now it's moving up. If you know that this is the only trade you will be taking, a retest, doing this over and over again is going to make it work. Because guess what? Right? 70% of the time, the price is going to break and retest. 70% of the time. And that's going to be your probability. Like, you know what? If you can only trade this one setup, you're going to be profitable and it's going to make this work. Like Alex is one of the most disciplined traders I know now, like one of the new ones, right? Because, okay, let's say like Friday or Thursday. I'm not sure if he took a trade on Friday, but he did take a trade on Thursday, and he made his goal in the first hour on Thursday. I think it was the Euro JPY shorts. And that was it. He said, hey guys, I'm done for the day. And that made it work, because after he's done for the day, he's locked in profits, right? Like he has bagged his pips. He has locked his profits, and then what he did was he said, okay, guys, I'm going to see you in Asian session, because that's what we trade next. And that was it, right? Then have some people who took the same short, and then 1 hour after that, they took another trade, and they lost all their profits. What happened there? They had no rules to protect themselves from themselves. So you really need to do that. You really need to understand that am I over trading right now? Or you really need to understand that, okay, is this a trade I really want to be in? Or am I breaking a rules? Like, okay, 90% of the time when you take a bad trade, there's that little voice in your head that says, hey man, this is a bad trade. Hey man, you shouldn't be in this trade, right? And you want to trust that voice. You do trust that voice. And as price goes to your stop loss, you know it's going to hit the stop loss, but you're still in that trade, right? You move your mouse to the cross and you want to close it before it hits stop loss, but there's something that keeps holding on. You don't want to close it, and then it hits your stop loss, and then you're all fucked over. And then you say, oh, you know what? Trading is hard. It hit my stop loss. You know, it's the fugazi. I can't make this work. Why? Right? You have to listen to that voice. And I'll be honest, people who listen to that small voice, they are highly profitable in trading because they don't take unnecessary risks. They only trade once or twice a day, right? And even if they lose that once a day, they know that the probability of this trade to work the next time is higher than not working. So they just bank on that fact. They don't bank on, okay, the next trade or the next wick fill or the next retest or the next zone or whatever some people trade, right? So you really need to understand, like, okay, how will you be able to make this work for yourself? Next thing, what I really focus on is that you really need to write down what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, right? This is very important. Now, when I sit down with a notepad and I write down my strengths, I want everyone to write down at least one strength. One strength you have, just one strength, right? I know everyone is going to write down, oh, I'm ambitious, you know, I'm highly motivated. Like, you know, that's the first things that come to your mind. Or I am a very driven person, right? When you take a loss, all that motivation goes out the window. I'll tell you that much. All that motivation goes out the window, right? So when that motivation goes out the window, you start having these thoughts in your head that, oh, you know what? I'm weak. I can't make this work. So you really need to write down your strength. If you're patient, write that down. I'm a patient trader. Right? Or write it down. I'm a very good trader. If you can spot one good move every day, you are a good trader. I promise you that. Right? I know guys who can't even spot one good move. Right? And there are a lot of guys who can spot a lot of good moves. And then for you, my friend, I say you are a good trader. Right? All you have to do is just to take action. Right? So that's your strength. Now, what are your weaknesses? Right? Some people are going to say, that, hey, like, you know what, my weakness is that I am not confident. Okay, you're not confident. So let's see, why are you not confident? Are you not confident because you're taking a lot of losses? Okay, let's do that. Let's work with not taking a lot of trades in a day. When you don't take a lot of trades in a day, what happens to your losses? They go down, right? If you're taking 2 trades, and if you lose 2 trades, how many losses are there? 2 losses, right? And when you take 5 trades, what happens to your probability of losses and wins? They can go up, right? So that's one thing you really need to focus on. Like, what are your weaknesses? You need to write down your weaknesses. And then you need to work around, okay, how can I turn this weakness into a strength? Right? And those strengths are going to make up your trading plan. This is very, very important, right? Strengths and weaknesses. What's your biggest strength? My biggest strength right now is spotting a profitable trade. That's my biggest strength right now, that I can spot a profitable trade, maybe like twice a day. And I try to focus on just that profitable trade. Yeah. And every day I work on really taking action on that profitable trade. That's the number one thing everyone needs to work on, right? If you can take action once a day with confidence, You can do that every day, once or twice a day, right? You can do that every day, once or twice a day. Let me just send a message over here. Okay. Uncle Ted is leaving. All right. Perfect, Ted. Yeah, just let me know when you're back, and we'll move forward. Okay. Right. So now we're going to move to the next slide. Let's see what we have over here. Let's see now. Choosing a currency pair. The most exciting thing that new traders feel like. Hey, Kevin is there. Okay. First, you need to realize, okay, like what time do I have to trade? Okay, so let's write this thing down. Or actually, let's just go over to the next options that we have here. We have time available to trade. We have what market is open at the time you want to trade. And then, is there any required volatility, right? This is very, very important, because let's say now, before you even start to trade, before you even look at charts, you need to understand what time is going to work best for me. I keep saying this over and over again because it has a lot of importance, that the time for you to trade is going to define you as a trader. That is very, very important, because I remember when I started, I was trading New York session, I was trading London close, then I was trading Asian Open, I was trading London Open, I was trading pre-New York. It was madness, it was insanity. I was always on the charts. I didn't have time for my family. My wife was pissed off. It was just brutal, right? Like you just can't. So that's why you really need to know what time is available for you to trade. Okay, so nighttime is for sleeping, so I'm not going to trade at that time. Okay, I wake up early in the morning. So early in the morning, 6 to 8 or 9 is for my time to trade. Perfect. So now I have a time to trade, 6 to 9. Awesome. What's next? Okay, so let's suppose 6 to 9 is very general. Let's suppose I have from 2 a.m. till 4 a.m. to trade. That is London Open for me. Perfect. So London Open. Now, what market is open at that time? So what I want everyone to do is, I want everybody to what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing things down, right? So on the side here, I'm writing a trading plan. So I need everyone who is new to write this here with me, right? So I'm writing down my trading plan. The time to trade would be from 2 to 4 a.m., right? That's what I wrote down for my time to trade. Now, we're going to develop a trading plan as we move forward with this webinar, right? Because I think it's very important. Okay, time to trade for me is 2 to 4 a.m., which is London Open. So what market is open? London Open. Perfect. Now, next thing you need to look at, is there required volatility, right? Volatility means that, is there enough volume in the market? Is there momentum in the market? Because you want to trade when the market is moving, right? You don't want to trade when there's no volume in the market. You don't want to trade when there's consolidation, right? Because you don't know if it's going to go up or down, even though you can do ping pong, but it's very, very risky, right? Because let's say you're doing ping pong and the price just like breaks support or resistance and you get caught in a very bad breakup. Excuse me. Right? So it's very important that okay, maybe at this time there's going to be volatility, so I'm going to start looking at the market at this time. So now we're going to look at some pairs. There we go. So we have 3 sessions, right? We have the Asian session, we have London session, and then we have the New York London overlap, right? So the most famous pair that I've seen people trade, the most highly traded pair here in the Forex family, is probably USDJPY, right? Now, can you trade USDJPY in Asian? Of course, right? London, I haven't really looked at USDJPY during the London session, so I'm not really sure, but some people say, yeah, you can maybe trade it. What about in New York London? Obviously, you can trade it in New York London as well. Now, when you're looking at pairs, you're also looking at the currencies, right? In USD/JPY, you're making sure that the JPY market is open in Asian, like, in London, there's still some movement. In New York, London, USD/JPY is primarily moved by the USD session. So, of course, you can trade it there. GBP/JPY, I know it's highly volatile. The spreads are really high for GJ in Asian session. That's why I personally have it as like maybe. You can maybe trade GJ in Asian, right? I haven't really traded much because the times I've had, I've lost, right? So I haven't really looked into GJ during Asian. London, obviously yes, because when London's open, GBP is moving a lot. So this has a lot of movement. New York, London, obviously the same goes for Euro JPY, Euro USD, and gold. Right? So all these pairs, they're very, very volatile, but you need to really make sure what session you are looking at. Right? What session are you trading? If you're trading London, maybe Euro USD would be a good choice, or Euro JPY is going to be a good choice, right? Or GJ. If you're looking at New York session, maybe USD JPY. If you're a new trader, I highly encourage you to trade USD JPY during New York and London. Or you can trade USD JPY during Asian, or even in London, right? So these are things that you really need to focus on, that you really need to put time towards that. Okay, if I'm going to choose something, I'm going to focus on that for the next couple of months. And I'm going to try to find similarities on the way it moves and the reasons how I can find some repetitive movements which I can bank on, right? So that's something very, very important that I really make sure that